Welcome to Martial Mentality, a martial arts inspired podcast. I'm your host, Delmar Minor, and today we got Mr. Joseph Blackwelder, we got Coach over here, and then we have our other coach in the house, Mr. Ara Draeger.
What's up?
You.
Welcome to the podcast, Ara.
He's also coaching me at the moment.
Yes. So let's tell us a little bit about yourself, Ara, and kind of how you got into the martial arts, and then we'll tell everybody the connection that we have here with you.
Okay. So I started martial arts around when I was 6 years old, did Taekwondo like most people do. Then when I moved down here from Wisconsin, I kind of took a little break from it. And then I started wrestling at 10 all the way up until 2012. Then I got into MMA a little bit, joined the Army, did a little bit of combat sambo. Then after getting out of the Army, moved back down here because my wife's family lives here, and now I work at York County Detention Center.
Okay. So, Ara, you've taken upon yourself to help some of the Northern Shaolin practitioners here work on their grappling skills. So, you told us a little bit about your wrestling background. Let me ask you, why do you feel grappling is an important aspect to martial arts training?
One, it's like natural, like even when you're a baby, if you touch a newborn's hand, they're going to grab it. Right. Another thing about grappling is you actually control where the fight goes. You can be a great striker, but if you're fighting Mike Tyson, you're not going to want to stand up with him.
Right.
So that's the thing about grappling is you want to be able to control where the fight ends up.
So I know you've been coaching some of the people here. You coach Joe.
Mm-hmm.
So Joe, tell me how you working with Ara has expanded your grappling skills and how has it helped your martial arts?
Well, we start with the foundation, and I think that's kind of what I've kind of been neglecting for a while, So just showing me some of the moves, and as he said, he uses this stuff in his job right now, so he knows it works. You know what I mean?
And I want to get to that. I don't want to jump right into that.
Not going to jump to
right.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to talk to you.
Spoil the surprise.
Yes, about how you use your martial arts in your job because
I'll say his years of experience shows.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It shows when he teaches us.
Yes. And I'm excited to have you on here because I love to pick your brain because you use this every day in some way, shape, or form. Yeah. And so if anybody is well practiced and understands this works or this skill works, is you, because you're doing this regularly. But again, I want to kind of save that later on because I think we're going to go down a rabbit hole.
Sorry.
So for myself, I'll honestly say, I want to say thank you because, I watch you coach the guys and I listen to you as well. And one thing in my martial arts journey that I have learned is that traditional martial arts is primarily, yes, there's striking in there, but primarily a lot of clinch work and grappling work. What has happened is a lot of people they've lost those skills. Mm-hmm. So now that all they think is that karate is just punch and kick, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you got onto that, if you think of traditional martial arts, like say, for example, Japan, people think karate, but in actuality, traditional martial art is like jiu-jitsu.
Right.
It is grappling. Yeah. And like, for an example, when people say Aikido, they think it's a traditional martial art. The founder was alive in the 19th century, just like all of us were, I don't think people understand what traditional actually means because pancratia, which is older than all of them,
yes,
is not considered a traditional martial art, even though Alexander the Great taught his soldiers that.
Oh, heck, even boxing.
Yeah, I was about to say, people consider boxing modern, but that's another probably one of the original pugilists.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Very, very old.
Yeah.
But wrestling is the oldest fighting skill on the planet. It doesn't matter what country you go to, every country wrestles.
Mm-hmm.
Every country wrestles. Mm-hmm. So, that is a skill that humans have done. Like you just said, babies grab automatically. That's just a natural skill.
Yep.
So again, tell us a little bit about, like you said, you wrestle. So tell us about your wrestling career.
So my wrestling career overall was, I think, think it was like 119 wins with about 100 pins in high school. College, I only won like 3 matches because the level's different. But most of my matches were by pin.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't really even though I teach takedowns, I wasn't, when I wrestled, I really wasn't a takedown wrestler. I was more of a pinner. I was more of a ground wrestler.
Mm.
You know, that's why when I started doing MMA, it was around the time where you could still kind of be a specialist, if that makes sense.
Okay.
You know, like Jake Shields was still pretty big and who was pretty much didn't throw any punches.
Mm-hmm.
So you could still do that. So that's kind of was my style of wrestling, was more of, I was also a lot lighter, but I could get taken down, then I could win the match that way.
Gotcha. Understandable.
Mm-hmm.
So when you say that, I think that's interesting that you say that. So now with you, you know, you've done some MMA and you basically just kind of said the game has changed. So what would you say MMA is from when you were doing it to what it is now?
Well, from it is now, it's more, you still have like anomalies who are specialists, like Alex Pereira. He's still a specialist.
Kickboxer.
But overall, you have to be kind of have to be good enough at everything. Like, for example, who's the heavyweight champion right now? Tom Aspinall.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Great example. You know,
Great wrestler, great striker.
He didn't do a traditional martial art. He trained for fighting. You know,
Yeah.
And even if you look at most sports, even evolve. Like, for example, I'm going on ADHD right now. Wrestling. You know,
Yeah.
I wrestled mainly folk style. Well, folk style evolved from freestyle, which evolved from catch wrestling. And even like sports jiu-jitsu, if you watch jiu-jitsu guys now, you know, back in the day, takedowns were very big, but now they pull guard a lot because wrestlers.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm.
So it's more well-rounded in MMA than it used to be.
Gotcha.
You know, back in the 90s, all you needed was a black belt in jiu-jitsu and you won a match.
Do you feel that happened because people started to realize, you know, you got some of the more traditional guys, or you got the boxers, you got the kickboxers that say, hey, let me learn some ground defense. Let me learn some ground, you know, let me learn a little jujitsu. So I'm not getting just taken down and getting submitted.
Yeah.
And so now you got to come to my arena.
That's what happened to Boss Rutan. He kept getting submitted.
I mean, yeah.
So he learned it.
Yeah, still, and it's also, I think, not necessarily here, but a lot of schools, they tend to think my style is the better style. But when you fight, then you learn, hey, maybe I need to work on this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like even if you look in the history of MMA, you know, who was the big star after Royce Gracie? It was Matt Hughes. He was a wrestler who could grapple. After him, it was Chuck Liddell, who was a wrestler. He started off as a college wrestler, but people don't know him as a college wrestler because he would stand up and fight people.
Right. Rampage started as a wrestler.
So Rampage was a wrestler too.
Another big name was BJ Penn. He was a
jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah.
He's actually and don't quote, I'm not a big jiu-jitsu guy, but
right.
I believe he did it like 3 years. He got a black belt.
You're right. Yeah. He got
a black belt in 3 years.
He ascended very quickly. He was like one of the best in the world. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
Whew, okay, I didn't know that. That's really cool. So, you know, with wrestling, with grappling, like, so, you know, we were kind of talking before the podcast, and we mentioned some of the arts like Aikido and you know, we're talking about Jiu-Jitsu and Pancratia and you know Greco-Roman wrestling. Like, so let's kind of go down that hill a little bit. So as far as like when you look at like a traditional grappling art, let's say traditional, or what constitutes as traditional?
Right.
That's the thing, is I don't think people really understand what traditional is when it comes to grappling, because of the fact that, you know, like for example, Greco-Roman, we brought that up. People, when do you think that started? Like Greco-Roman, because that's the name, right?
Right.
It actually started in France in the 17th century. Like, not a lot of people know that.
I didn't know that.
It's, when you hear traditional, again, they think karate, kung fu, but it's
Swai-Jiao's traditional.
It's old.
Swai-Jiao's is, I believe it's like what, the oldest?
It may be the oldest.
They believe that?
Yeah, it's been
before
around
judo.
for
Definitely before judo.
Well, yeah, judo. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was like right before Aikido, which their founder died in the 1960s. You know?
Yeah, that's crazy, right?
A lot of people think like these styles are, some of the styles that we do today are just so old, and karate is not that old.
Right.
Like shoot, Kyokushin, was what, the 1800s, maybe 1900s,
something like that.
Yeah.
Right before. Yes, I think that I don't know if it's that one, but some of it came around right before 1900.
Kudo started in the 1900s for sure.
Yeah, a lot of it gained the popularity around the 80s, right? Like some of the more stuff we know over here in the West.
Ishinryu karate. The style of karate I practiced was founded in 1954.
54.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's not even 100 years old yet.
Wow.
When you go back and look at a lot of styles and systems, they're not that old. But I mean, like we were talking about earlier, boxing, wrestling, those things have been around almost since the beginning of time.
I think the word traditional, I think some people I don't think it's just the time period. I think it could be where it originates. Because when people say traditional, they immediately go to Asia.
They do.
I think it's part of the reason is because they care about, like, and this isn't a bad thing. Right. I remember when I taught class Saturday, what I do, last 5 minutes, I talked about history.
Yep.
Right. I think a lot of traditional martial arts actually think they make the history an important part of it, which I believe it is. Because, if you actually look at the history of, let's say, for example, grappling, BJJ, it started as judo.
Right.
It was founded from I didn't look up the guy's name, but that judo practitioner that helped the Gracies learn Brazilian jiu-jitsu also learned catch wrestling, which can be found all the way back to Frank Gotch, which is arguably is wrestling's version of like Ip Man, a Bruce Lee. He's very, like, if you know anything historically wise, he's a guy that you know.
So you mentioned knowing history, and I think you're right. So I think what we have to do is change the way we say traditional, because like you said, knowing history, having, and I'm going to say this term, rituals. You come into school, you bow, you do this, or you wear this, or you do certain things. A culture, those things can constitute something more as traditional than time period, I would say.
Yeah.
I agree.
So, but anyway, I mean, that's a whole nother topic we could talk about.
Yeah. Wrestling is old.
Yes. Wrestling is old. And, I think now it more so than ever, it has become a needed skill to have in whatever you practice.
Oh yeah.
Sport fighting, self-defense, all of it.
Yeah. All of it. You need it. I have seen a huge change in my fighting skill when I started to learn how to clinch better, how to wrestle, how to do some throws, some more joint locking.
I think it's like foolish to ignore other martial arts, and say one is,
I do too.
It's all encompassing. You know what I mean? Like, it's bad to learn one skill and think you're going to overcome that other skill. It's just not the way it works. A good, what do you call it? Is it karateka? Okay. Karateka. A good one could beat a good wrestler.
Yep.
A good wrestler could beat a good karateka.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It depends.
It depends. It all depends.
He just said it earlier in MMA. He just talked about how it changed.
Right.
Because people changed. They said, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to let you beat me with your jiu-jitsu anymore.
Right. And you still get those prodigies that come out there and change the game. You get the guy who's great at jiu-jitsu and comes out and beats everybody. And then, then you'll get like the good karate practitioner who comes out and beats everybody. And it's constantly evolving.
Right.
Constantly evolving.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you have to learn or, get familiar with all of it. At least learn something about all of it. Don't just neglect one.
So, Ara, let's talk about, because a lot of these people don't know you, let's talk about how you did in your Swijiao match a few years ago at the Queens. Was it the Queens or were you at the
it was
fall?
I think it was fall. Yeah,
it was fall because I remember it was my birthday, like literally a week after.
Yeah, okay. So for those of you who don't know, Ara participated in Swijiao under the banner of Northern Shaolin. He's a student here, and he went in there and did really well. So tell us about your experience at the Fall Classic.
Oh, it was great. I trained really hard for it.
You've trained for years, though.
Yeah.
So you could say you did train really
I
hard.
mean, it was interesting. It was a different experience than I'm used to. Because again, I've never done grappling where you don't have ground fighting. You know, I didn't have it was pretty interesting. The fact that, you know, once you take a guy down, you start back up.
Yeah.
You know, like all the wrestling and grappling I've done, if they take you down, you still have to fight through it.
Right.
Even judo has pins.
Yeah,
right?
judo has pins.
Or submissions, I think.
I think their sport, and I could be wrong, their sport, they have something called IPA, which is if you do it, you automatically win the match. I could be wrong about that because I haven't.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ippon.
Yeah, Ippon.
Ippon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if I throw you on your back, or if you fall in such a way like it's unrecoverable, you know what I mean?
Huh.
Like it's got to be like basically the best way to think about it, it's got to be a clean throw.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so it's like a victory point in Sambo then.
Yeah,
Okay.
like, you know, that's why you see a lot of people, they'll do they call it Ippon Sianagi, because if I do that shoulder throw well, you're gonna go on your back and it's over. It's done. I got you.
Gotcha.
You know what I mean? And so that's why a lot of people like to try to hit Ippon Sianagi, because it's basically like a finisher.
Okay.
That's cool.
So you can throw somebody and you can get like half points.
Yeah.
But why waste that time? I want to get you down in one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So
Okay.
that's why they do that. But
So you hadn't competed in Swai specifically?
No, I've never competed in Swai Jiao before. Like
Gotcha.
that was literally my first tournament.
Nice.
so tell us how
Did
your
great.
Yeah, no, right. So tell us how you fared.
Yeah.
I won.
Yep. So he won his division. So tell us how you saw some of your previous training help you do this. Because, so guys, I'll tell you straight up, he literally just kind of walked in, was like, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, okay, I trust you. I've seen what you can do. Go.
Yep.
And he did it.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like, sure, the rule set's a little different. It's still a wrestling style, but it's obvious how the skills translate. You have trained like handling a human being, another grown man, you know, and controlling him. And that's exactly what he did.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
That's what he did.
Trying to think how to say this. I think a lot of the thing is because I had that grappling experience. I don't think, even though the guy I went with, he apparently had a black belt in a type of jiu-jitsu that wasn't Brazilian jiu-jitsu. However, a lot of the people I watched in that tournament, they had no grappling experience. So it was kind of like a lot of people would stand up and they didn't know how to place their body. They didn't know, you know, the positioning, you know, where you want your head and stuff like that. I think that's kind of what helped me with it, was the fact that I had that grappling experience. I was like, all right, I know if I'm going to do a takedown, I'm not going to leave with my head pointed down, or I'm not going to, if I'm going to try to throw him, I'm not going to stand all the way up and be off balance. I think that's kind of the reason why I did so well in that tournament.
But those are things, those are foundational
Fundamentals,
things
right?
that you've trained and you know.
Yeah.
And so that's why you can operate on a higher level. And so to me, that just goes to show you that if you have some kind of training in something, because those skills translate to something else, you were able to literally go in and go, okay, I know what to do. And you did it like that. Yeah. And obviously you won. So, and that's not to take away from the people that you went against, because I'm not saying that they weren't good.
Absolutely not at all. Like, like the dude, even the guy who I went against, you know, he went against in the finals. He wasn't a pushover. Like, he scored a couple points on me.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
Yeah. You just, your technique and foundation was better than them, and you were able to overcome those obstacles because of your training. So that's just.
When you say the term grappling, would you say that's all encompassing of all wrestling?
Yeah. I think, well, grappling, when I think grapple, I just mean it's what it says, grab hold of, you know?
Yeah.
Like, if you, going back in history, you know, one of our presidents, you know, was a famous wrestler. He did something called back hold wrestling. Literally all back hold wrestling is you grab each other's backs.
I've seen that.
And you fall, and you know, the way to win is the guy either falls or you break your hold, you know?
Is that Teddy Roosevelt?
No, he was a boxer. That was Abraham Lincoln.
Was he?
Mm-hmm.
I was watching a a thing about wrestling where it showed all the different, like a bunch of different styles and where they originated. I can't remember the country, but I've seen that one.
Well, backhold historically, I believe, started in Scotland because they do that in the Highland Games.
Yeah, that's where I've seen it. That's what I've seen.
Yeah. I watch Sensei Seth too.
Yeah, of course,
Yeah,
of course.
yeah.
Well, it might have been his or there's a thumbnail that has like all the different. It's got like Greco freestyle. You know, that was a good video. So it might be Seth. Yeah,
it might be. There's a lot of different styles. Like I can't think of the name of it. Catches Catch Can, which started in England.
Yeah.
Even Sambo. Sambo, even though people say it started from judo, it actually started from the folk wrestling of Russia and judo.
Gotcha.
You know.
Is it Ben Askren? He was a folk wrestler.
Yeah, he was a folk wrestler, freestyle wrestler. He actually kind of made his own style of wrestling, which is funk, because what he would do is he would do, like, if you ever watch his matches, he'll do like flips and stuff to where he like makes a scramble, and that's what made him so good when he was a wrestler.
Gotcha. He liked to cause the scrambles. Yeah.
That's interesting. You know, I mean, I knew there were all different kinds of wrestling and grappling, of course, but like when you start breaking it down the way you're talking about it, I'm like, man, that sounds like, you know, any other martial art style, you know.
And some of the differences between some of them are, like, I think there's a lot of fundamental stuff that they should all learn, but like they all probably learn is what I'm saying, because I don't know. But some of the differences, though, are significant, you know, in rule sets and what they learn, how they train.
That's interesting.
You know.
That's interesting. Definitely, we should. You know, I definitely like to get more history about that. I need to talk with you because I mean, martial arts history in general is just fascinating.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But I mean, that is really, really cool in the fact that there's so many different styles of wrestling. So let me ask you this: so what kind of style of wrestling is being taught in the schools now? Is it like a particular style?
What it's called is folk style. So what folk style is, it's kind of like a easier version of freestyle. Like a lot of rules are kind of more to the point where it's a lot safer. For example, in freestyle, I could do a lat throw. Like when I did that one time when I did the suicide throw, I could do that in freestyle and I can let go of my opponent. And the higher he goes, the more points it is. Where in folk style, if you do a takedown, you have to control the guy. You got to make sure you can't just slam the guy on the mat. You got to take him down. You got to take him down as gently as possible.
So slamming somebody is gentle?
Yeah, well, I can't power bomb a, like, you know, I can't do like the UFC. I can't power bomb a guy and spike him on his head.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
it's also, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's also kind of like we'll go over hip tosses, right?
Right.
And we were doing hip tosses the other day. There's levels to it. Like, you know, if you can get the guy up in the air and where he's looking at his feet, and then you can slam him on the ground, or you can trip him, or, you know, we didn't do this in training, but like in some matches, I don't know which rule set, it would be probably freestyle. If you do like some kind of toss and they're looking up at their feet, you can also then jump and slam them with your body weight on top. I don't know if that's legal, but you see what I'm saying.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that sounds more like freestyle, but I could be wrong. I haven't done freestyle since college.
Right.
I know, like when I was doing a little bit of judo, like we talked about, and I know you know this, like we would follow them down and try to land on the ribs.
That's right. And I feel like some places that do jiu-jitsu are so focused on the ground and competition, but like there's others that, you know, still will talk about the self-defense aspect, and they'll go straight to that knee on belly while they're controlling like a limb, you know, or that kind of thing. And I think that's important. And they'll start on their feet.
Yeah, that's one thing I liked about the last jiu-jitsu school I went to, which was M4 Fit in Indian Trail. They actually would do Friday. They'd actually go into the basics of the self-defense portion of the martial art, and I kind of like that because not a lot of places do that.
Right.
So why do you think, like, now you see a lot of, you know, it's interesting you say that. Why do you see a lot of styles they're more sport based? I mean, I'm sure I have an answer, but I'm curious about, you know, now with, you know, wrestling and a lot of jiu-jitsu and stuff, they've kind of taken away some of the self-defense or self-protection aspect. It's just sport now.
Well, with wrestling, like actual wrestling, most wrestling's more of a, like they have some, like, for example, Swai Zhao came from combat. Pancratio, which was what we talked about, comes from combat, and Mongolian came from combat. But a lot of styles of wrestling are more of like games. You know, where
even back in ancient
times, like Pancratia was taught it was in the Olympics. Wrestling was in the Olympics.
Yeah, the Olympics. I just watched a video on this. It was talking about, I don't remember who, like it was talking about how the Romans like admired their bodies and stuff and took care of their bodies.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just a symbol of like strength. It was like, you know, their mental fortitude, that kind of stuff. But the best of the best would go and wrestle like as a sport. I don't know. It was very interesting. I can't give the detail that the video gave, but it was very interesting.
But when it comes to like stuff, martial arts that take away from like the self-defense, like BJJ or judo, or even sambo, I think it's more along the lines of where the money is. You know, if you have a tournament, you know, say you host a tournament, you might not make a lot of money, but you'll make more money than just teaching self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the thing is, especially in certain wrestling tournaments, I know if you go to a high school wrestling tournament, they're gonna have a table with a bunch of like shirts. They're gonna have concession stands. They're gonna have all that stuff because they know they're gonna make money off of it.
Right. I think it's a money thing, and you can't take away from the fun. You know what I mean? It's fun. People love to do it, and you know, if you want to do it, it's not like I can just go out in the street and wrestle everybody. Like I gotta go to the tournament and go by a rule set.
Well, you know what? It just popped in my head. I mean, I know this, but I want to say this. It's a way of helping control violence.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because people are inherently violent, you know, and especially young men, no offense, you know, but, you know, we like to do crazy stuff. That's why
I never wrestled formally when I was younger, but I wrestled all my friends.
See what I'm saying?
All my
you
friends.
know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
And I think, you know, sports and athletics are a great way to help people get a lot of that out of them and not hurt each other.
Yeah.
You know, so, I mean, okay. So, again, you are a corrections officer.
Yes, sir.
How long have you been working corrections?
So I've worked there, it'll be 3 years in August.
Nice.
Can you tell us how your martial arts experience has assisted you on your dangerous job?
Well, I don't really use it as much as people think because I usually I believe I got to talk it out, but if I do have to do it, it helps me out with distance control. Like, for example, if I'm talking to an inmate, I'm not going to talk to an inmate with an inmate right next to my face where he could spit on me. I'm usually trying to be at least 6 feet apart. If I do have to go hands-on, you know, using technique that I know will keep me out of not only them, try to keep them as safe as possible or keep me as safe as possible where I know my surroundings are. You know, because most of the time I've never had to do anything in a unit, but like a housing unit. South Carolina, the minimum standards for one officer is 72 inmates. You know.
Really?
So for minimum standards, if you have an officer in one unit, it's 72. Granted, they're not all out at the same time, but they might. But if you go to certain units, there might be 48 inmates there. You know. If I'm having a confrontation where an inmate attacks me, I can't do certain techniques I would do in a tournament because there's 47 other people there. You know. So
okay, let's dive into that. So what is something with all those people around that you cater your strategy to? Like,
I look at where my exit plans are most of the time.
You're probably not going to want to go to the ground.
No, I don't go to the ground. Like, if I ever get into a position where I know someone's attacking me, like, for example, when I spar, I'll usually have my hands out like this because that's kind of our high ready. Our high ready is the same thing as a kickboxer stance, but we hands out here so that way if they come close, you can push them. You know, and if I do have to put hands on, like, for example, that one time I talked about the story about the guy in the shower, you know, that can be used as a form of control in a sense. But most of the time I try to talk them down if possible. You know,
right?
Just because the fact if I can talk them down, then I don't have to do the paperwork. You know, I don't have to worry about litigation. If say the guy has a shank, then, you know, because people sue people for any reason.
Yeah, it's true.
And even in jail, people will sue people for any reason.
So let me ask you this, you know, and then I want to talk about how you're talking about, you say you talk a lot of people down. And I think a lot of people don't think that that's a martial arts skill, but it is.
It is.
So tell us how you use your words, your body language, your tone in order to keep people from hurting you, because you're dealing with dangerous inmates.
Usually, like, I talk to them like how I usually talk to inmates like I talk to normal people. You know, like if I'm talking and you were joking around, I'm going to joke around with you. But if you're getting serious or I don't really see what you're doing, I might talk to you like, hey, bud, you good?
Mm-hmm.
You know, let's talk about it. You know, that way you can talk them down and stuff. Because again, they're still people. Like a lot of people don't understand that, you know, is they're still people. There's nothing different from me and an inmate. You know, a lot of people don't like both my sheriffs that I've been under have said the same thing. The difference between you and them is the fact that they got caught when they made that mistake. You know,
that's a good way to think about it, because I mean, you know, I think when you think about, you know, people in jail, I guess you do kind of, you know, be like, you shun them, you know, but you're right. Everybody at this table has committed a crime.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's been times I've sped.
Yeah.
You know?
I've never sped. No.
Right. Exactly.
No,
right.
Well,
Right.
here's the
Right.
thing. I know
No,
you've probably jaywalked, and that's a punishable offense in South Carolina.
That's a crime. You're right.
You know?
Yep. You're right.
Everybody's committed some kind of crime.
Right. So what's your go-to? Like, so let's say, you know, let's role play. Let's say like Joe's an aggressive inmate. How are you gonna talk to him? Go ahead, Joe. Be an aggressive inmate.
Oh man, I don't know what. Like, am I out in the open or am I?
Let's say you're out in the yard. I guess you're out in the yard. Would you be out in the yard, or would you be in the cafeteria?
No, that's prison.
Bathroom.
Yeah, that's prison. So what we have, because I work in a jail, so what we have a day room, which is where they're all out. And usually if he's like, well, not necessarily be aggressive, because usually if they're aggressive, then it's a little different.
Okay.
But like, say if he's like agitated, I might pull him aside and be like, hey man, what's wrong?
Okay.
Gotcha.
You're agitated.
You know, hey
What
bud.
the heck, man?
Yeah.
Hey,
Somebody took your applesauce.
Yeah.
Hey, I usually be like, hey, come here, man.
Right.
I usually try to separate him from the problem, because the thing is, you know, and talk to him and be like, hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes they might not want to be there because they might think people think they're snitching. You know?
Yep. Talking to.
You know, so you just gotta you gotta be cognizant of that.
Okay, because you're looking out for their well-being.
Yeah.
As well, yep.
Usually, if they're aggressive, then because I'm part of we got something called ERT, and usually when they're aggressive, they get
Emergency response team.
Yeah, they get activated, and when they get activated, I'm there. I'm usually done talking at that point.
Yeah.
You know, I'm usually letting whoever's higher rank talk at that point, because I'm just trying to make sure I'm safe, they're safe, and everyone else is safe. You know.
So when you how do you call for ERT? Do you just be like, you know, maybe you're dealing with, you know, Joe's that aggressive inmate, and you're like, okay, this guy's not calming down. It is like a code, and then they just pop up, or
yeah, it's a code. I can't really say the code. Because,
right, I understand.
You know,
I know, I get it, but you know,
yeah, there's usually a code that we call, and usually one or two things will happen. Either everyone shows up, because what a lot of the correction officers say, and I don't really agree with it, because people say we're undefeated, and it's true, we are, but some people don't understand, some officers who are new or who say that I don't think they understand, is
it's a challenge, right?
there's a lot more of them in a unit than us. You know.
Yeah.
That's another reason why I believe you got to be able to talk to people, is because, you know, you might call a code, and we got 30 seconds to respond, but even then, you know,
that's a long time.
That's a long time.
Right.
And especially the fact that that's 30 seconds to get to the unit. That's not 30 seconds to get the situation handled.
Right. I see. Yep.
You know, there's been times where we've been in a stalemate with an inmate for what felt like 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
Probably was only 15 minutes, but it felt that long. You know.
Right.
So, you know, again, if you're able to, you know, I know maybe not all stories, but what would you say is maybe your go-to technique that you like to use to stop somebody who may be aggressive? Like,
if I'm by myself and they're attacking me, I like there's two types. If I'm in my interview stance, which is usually when your hands are like here or like here,
standing sideways, like
I kind of like doing
stance.
the elbow push, and that way they're closer. If they're further away and they're within that 6 feet and they're coming to me, we call it a palm heel strike, which is just a push, pretty much. And those are the moves that I like to use. Now, if we're going in and we're having to do control, then I like the straight armbar takedown, which is something that they don't really teach anymore, or the bent arm wrist, because again, it's a form of controlling that person.
This one?
Yeah, controlling that person to take them to where you need them to go. And a lot of people, when you do that technique, it's not to hurt them, it's to get them to listen to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even
that's the self-defense side of jiu-jitsu or Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It's not that like, oh, I can just break your bone. Like, you can, but it's actually to put them in that position so they listen to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because here's the thing. If you break someone's bone, what a lot of people don't understand, because it's not, if you break a dude's arm, it's not fatal.
Right.
But it is still considered deadly force because you did bodily harm to that individual.
Yep. Serious bodily harm.
Some people don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know? It's the same thing when I taught that technique. I think someone said something about kicking someone in the nuts. And I said, you can't do that because that's considered deadly force. It might not kill them, but it causes bodily harm to them.
Yeah, serious bodily harm. Yeah.
So as far as, this is kind of transfer, but I like it. So as far as the law is concerned, when you're doing your job, obviously you're using the power granted to you by the state of South Carolina, but you just said there's certain things that we're not allowed to do. What are some of those things that you're like, I can't do that because I'm going to get sued or I'm going to hurt somebody? Or, because I think a lot of people hear corrections and they go, oh, well, they just go balls to the wall. They just do whatever.
Right.
Well, they used to back in the day, like in the 90s or whatever. But there's some things because of certain situations that happened in the past, there's certain things that we can't do. Like, it all depends on the individual or individuals. If Joe's an inmate and he's just not listening to me, then I can't just jack him up.
Pepper spray me.
Yeah, I can't just jack him up or tase him.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's coming at me with a shank, I can tase him and I can
shoot him.
I can I can't. I don't have a gun. I don't have a gun in the jail. When I'm outside the jail, I can because of my job. But if I am in the jail, I can tase him. And if he gets close enough with that shank on me, I can, even though I'm not supposed to, I can legally kick him in the nuts at that point, because again, he's using deadly force on me.
Harm. Yeah.
It's force, level. You got to use the same level of force with the inmate.
Mm-hmm. That was in the military, they always said minimum force necessary. Yeah. Like, if someone calls your mom a such and such, you don't punch them in the throat.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But now if somebody's threatening the livelihood of you or somebody else, like, you meet that force with whatever's required to neutralize the threat.
Yep.
So,
and then you stop. You don't keep going.
So okay. So what advice would you give martial artists that are listening to this podcast? Say, you get in a self-protection or self-defense situation. What advice legally would you say? I know you're not a lawyer, but you're dealing with situations where you're dealing with violent people and you're having to talk them down and things like that, and you may have to use force. What advice would you give to say, okay, think about these things, consider these things in your training if you're training for these skills?
Well, again, be aware of what kind of force. If you're fighting a guy who's drunk but he doesn't have a weapon, but more importantly, be loud. I don't think a lot of people understand that, especially when they do self-defense. They practice the technique, but they don't work on being loud. If you're in an alleyway and say Joe's mugging me, I'm not just gonna rip out his trachea or whatever. No, I got to be loud and I got to be loud and be like, hey, back off. Hey,
right,
leave me alone. Hey, you got to be loud. Like when we do DTs in the academy, our instructor would fail you remember the instructor I had, she would fail you if you didn't do commands.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
I remember I didn't fail, but I got recycled because I could do the technique, but I'm terrible at doing commands. Because whenever I get activated and I have to do a use of force, usually at that point of time, it's already, hey, we've already tried to talk to this guy down. It's time to go in and handle business.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it like, is it taught to you guys like you should still command even if you go hands on, you should still be trying to throw commands at all times? Yeah, you should
be throwing commands and stuff like that, because a lot of people, like if you're gonna do, like, say for example, an arm bar or a headlock, say, hey, back off, calm down.
Right.
You know?
Stop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stop. And I think a lot of people, they'll train the technique, but they won't understand, hey, you know, if I rear naked choke or I kick a dude in the head and I don't say anything, if he's on the floor and I'm standing up and a cop pulls up, what are they going to think?
That I'm the bad guy.
That
I'm
you're
standing
the bad
up.
guy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So, okay. Because I've had an experience where I've had to deal with somebody and we gave verbal commands.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were just like, hey, you know, please leave us alone.
Yeah.
You know, just go da 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 da. When would you say enough is enough talking?
When
an attack is imminent.
When they're in your bubble, I think that's kind of like the situation. If they're being the aggressor, you know, like if you're saying, hey, leave me alone, and they keep coming towards you, you know, you can, like, I can legally as a correction officer, if they get towards me and I push them away and I'm saying, hey, I told you to back up.
Yeah.
You know, they're technically being aggressive towards you. They might not swing at you. They might just want to talk to you. But they're drunk and they might act like a jerk.
Yeah.
But you can still justify saying, hey, I told him to stop and he's still coming towards me. He's still being aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know?
I see.
Yeah. Because, you know, I've told the story a billion times, but like, again, reacted too late. I mean, kept coming. And then when he weaponized himself, I mean, he was definitely a true threat.
Mm-hmm.
But again, trying to be, you know, civil, trying to talk it out. We probably should have went after him a long time ago.
Probably.
You know what I mean? I
mean, yeah, if they're like, and again, like, I am not a lawyer. But if they're coming towards you in an aggressive manner, they're technically being the aggressor, even if they don't touch you.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know? Again, you got to meet force with force. If they're coming towards you and you push them away, that's fine. But if they're coming towards you and you pull out, you know, a 9mm and just unload a magazine, you know, then you could be like, I did, you know.
Yeah.
It's you got to match the force with the force.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think it's interesting that you talked about verbal commands, because I definitely know that's something that's not taught in a lot of academies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not really training that.
Oh yeah.
You train the physical skills, but you're not training some of the de-escalation skills.
Mm-hmm. I've 110% talked myself out of more situations than I've got physical with.
I have too. Like, even in my job, I've talked my way out of a lot more things than I should have.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Could you imagine if it got physical every time? I mean, that'd be terrible.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Especially when I started.
Right. Yeah.
I can only imagine, like, you going to work, and I'm sure with you probably had so many confrontations. I mean, granted, I know you say you don't use it a lot, but for the normal person, your job is probably a lot more physical than, you know, that me and Joe are going to deal with on a daily basis.
Right.
And you probably like, man, I don't want to have to deal with this person. And then you talked about the paperwork. I don't want to have to do the paperwork or go to court or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So, yeah. I forgot what I was going to say.
It's more like the likelihood of you getting into altercation is much higher than.
Well, yeah.
You know, it's your job.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like, for example, my title is transport, so I transport people to prison. I would never work in prison, ever, because, what I tell new officers who are like, hey, I've thought about working at SCDC, I tell them, it's like, I would never work there, because the thing is, you're dealing with, there's a difference between jail and prison. Jail is not a forever home. Yeah. So a lot of times you might have a couple knuckleheads who, will try to steal your taser, or, will throw a pee at you or something like that. But most of the time, they want to go to court and leave.
Yeah.
But prison, like, I would never work in prison, just for the sheer fact that some of those guys are never leaving.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they got nothing to lose.
No, absolutely not.
Wow. Okay.
I did one of those, since we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I think I've told you this before. But when I was in high school, I was a bad kid for a while. I went to the alternative school for a while. I got to tour one of the prisons.
Oh, yeah?
So I was one of those. And I'll tell you what, that was intimidating.
Oh, yeah.
That was very intimidating.
Really?
Oh, my goodness.
You never told us.
We were in a prison. I don't remember. Where's the prison in South Carolina down south? It's, is it Columbia?
The one in Columbia, that is...
it might not have been Columbia. Is there another one?
There's a couple.
I can't remember which one it was.
I can't think of the names. I know there's Kershaw.
I remember like them wearing orange pants and the sex offenders wearing pink pants. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Why do they?
They wear pink pants to let you know that they've been a sex offender.
Huh?
Yep.
In jail? Why does it?
In prison.
In prison? Why does that matter?
Because criminals have an honor code and they do not like. Yeah.
Oh man, that's messed up. Oh
But
man.
I remember. Think we're like, I'm like 16, right? But it's me and like 10 to 12 other students my age, a couple girls in there. One of them was a decent looking gal, right? And like, we are in this room with like, there's like 50 inmates in the open, and there's like 2 officers with us. Oh, yeah. And all the inmates are yelling at us.
Bro, I would be like,
it was intimidating. We got to walk through the cafeteria. There's dudes like whistling at that girl, like, and you could tell she felt. Yeah, you could tell she felt uncomfortable.
I'm sure she did.
Right, right. And I was like, yeah, I never want to be in a place like this. No matter if I'm in here or working here or whatever, I'm trying to stay away from this place. Screw that.
Oh yeah.
I think it. Man, look. I've never been to a prison, but I have gone to the jail. Not because I got arrested, but because of my job and what I do. Sometimes I've had to go there
a few times.
Yeah. I've been to the courtroom. I've had to do stuff like that. And that one time that I visited, this was late last year. I don't think you were working, but one of your coworkers was there, and man, this lady, I guess she had just gotten there. But some of the crazy stuff that she was saying and doing, stripping her clothes off.
Oh yeah.
Like you could hear it, and it was like, what is going on in there?
Yeah,
it's wild, man. I don't know how you deal with that every single day.
Yeah,
you just get used to it.
Yeah, you get used to it after a while. It kind of comes white noise. Like when I used to work the units, because when I used to be a housing officer, they would usually put me in maximum security, so like our max units, that I have to deal with the knuckleheads a lot.
I'm not familiar with the process. I wanted to ask, like, did you went through like police academy? Did you go straight from?
No. So the way they do it in correction in my county is we do 6 weeks of in-service training. Then we do, I think, a couple weeks of FTO training, which we're working with another officer. And then they leave you by yourself until like you hit your 6-month mark. And that's when they send you to the academy.
Okay.
Because if they don't want to spend all that money, send you to the academy and you quit.
True.
Because again, not a lot of people, most people don't make it 6 months in that job.
See. They're weeding people out.
Yeah.
So you did all that. You went to the academy and then you went straight to corrections officer?
Well, I was already a correctional officer there. Yeah.
I see.
Because you're already a full. I just didn't have the certificate.
So you're already going for that position.
Yeah.
I see.
The position I just got lucky.
Did it open up like a? Or
yeah, it opened up. So we had a guy quit who we had one of our transport officers, because this is when they had him on the ship. He went to he got promoted, and then the other guy they were trying to train to get his position quit. So then they try to train me in that position. And then one thing led to another. Now I got the position that I got.
Okay.
Are you supervising anybody or?
No, well, no, I'm not a supervisor, but like if I do transport, unless there's another transport officer there, I'm in charge.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because that's my position.
Okay.
I see.
So when you transport, so you're transporting them to the prison
Not just the prison
or just to jail?
Well, no,
One part of the jail to the other.
I could transport them to jail to prison to jail.
One unit to another unit.
Anyone can do that, but
Okay.
I also can do doctor's appointments, like, because they need their
Medical
people, they need
attention.
medical care.
Makes sense.
Like there might be times where I'm out at I'm not going to say any of the places,
Of course.
but there might be times where I'm at a doctor's appointment, and and if you see me at the doctor's appointment, I don't know you.
Right, I understand.
But
Yeah.
Right, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you.
But like there's places where around here that I'll take people to doctor's appointments.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. Well, that's really cool. So, as a job, I'm kind of curious myself. Would you say corrections is a great alternative for maybe people who are interested in law enforcement?
I think it's a job that you need if you want to do law enforcement, because there's a lot of times where you'll have 21-year-olds, 20-year-olds, and they don't know how to talk to people because they don't have corrections. Learning how to talk to people is very important.
I see. Yeah. Yeah. I've experienced that myself. I'm sure many people have, like I respect, like I even considered, doing it after the military, but like I've had different experiences with police officers, some good, some not so good. And communication.
And you can tell the ones that worked in corrections because they have that line of communication. Like my like most sheriff departments, if you don't have like say a law enforcement degree, or you didn't go to school for law enforcement, they want you to have 2 years of corrections before you go on the road, so that way you learn how to talk to people.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's smart. I feel like that's smart.
Well, it makes sense because what I tell like younger people who want to go on the road, it's you got to think about it. What's the worst thing that they can have in the jail? They're not going to have a gun. They can have a shank. Well, you can see a shank coming most of the time. You can't see a gun coming from anywhere.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want to say that. You don't want that gun to come out from bad communication.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's altercations. People get heated. I mean, rest the soul of the individuals in Rock Hill recently.
Yeah.
That the 4-year-old and the 19-year-old got shot. Yep. They got shot because there was an altercation.
Right.
And the 19-year-old and the other gentleman got into it. And the 4-year-old was caught in the crossfire and died. And it sounded like it just started from an argument.
Yeah.
Now granted, I think the gentleman was maybe being rough with the younger man's mother, but regardless, still,
yep,
2 people are dead.
Yep. Yep.
So, you're right. Communication is a big thing, and I think that's a big thing that's not being taught in a lot of martial arts anymore. Just how to talk to people.
Yep.
Wow.
Right. We're not in a battlefield out there.
Right.
We have the opportunity to talk first.
Yes.
So learn how to do it.
It's been 3 years since I learned DTs, but I'm pretty sure the first thing we actually learn in DTs is our interview stance, which is us talking to inmates.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Smart.
I know. So for my job, I do social work, and so I work with individuals who have special needs, and there are some people in there that they get rough.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you cannot hurt these individuals. And so
you need to be assertive.
You have to be assertive, but you have to be able to talk to them, like you said, because, you're dealing with somebody who may not mentally be thinking how you're thinking,
right.
Where you're thinking logically, they're not thinking logically, especially when they're escalated.
Under duress.
Under duress, right.
Yeah.
And so you may be dealing with somebody who's already got an altered state of mind when they're calm, but when they're agitated or escalated, it's even worse.
Yeah.
So trying to talk somebody down that is in that state of mind can be really difficult.
Right.
And so I get what you're saying about having to make sure you got good communication skills, because there's been times where, I mean, people have just be tearing up everything.
Yeah.
And that one person that knows how to talk to them can come in there, be
Mhm.
assertive with them and talk to them, and they'll just calm right down.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely. So what are your goals and aspirations? Do you want to, I mean, obviously, I mean, you've been working corrections. It seems like you enjoy it. Do you want to continue to rank up in there? Are there ranks in corrections?
Yeah, it's kind of the same as it's not, but it's kind of the same as military. So like, my goal in that job as of right now is to become a sergeant, just because I was a sergeant in the Army.
Okay.
So I kind of
Oh,
I
nice.
kind of miss having those stripes.
Gotcha. I
Nice.
understand.
They're like, oh, you get paid more. I don't care about
What's
the pay.
Sergeant Army? Is that E5?
That's E5. It's the
I
same
was
thing as petty officer. I
Second
think.
class.
Yeah.
That's what I was. That's what I got out as.
Okay.
E5, yep.
Well, thank you guys for your
It's-
service.
They say it's the best rank
Oh, it is.
because you've got not enough authority to make a lot of the big calls,
Mhm.
but the guy above you will tell you this, and you've got enough authority to tell the people below you.
Yep.
So you're just chilling.
Mhm.
The best rank.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah, it was fun. Good times.
Oh yeah.
Well, I hope you get your goals, man. I mean, I think you're gonna do it, because
Oh yeah.
I see the way you handle everybody here. Everybody here respects you. Everybody loves you. Last thing though, I think a lot of people don't know that you like to do some comedy.
Hey, plug.
Man, I haven't done comedy. Shit, when did I get married? When did I start this job? I haven't done comedy since I started this job, just because I just never had time for it. But yeah, I used to do comedy. I did comedy for 4 years.
Okay.
We need to link you up with Coach Corrado.
I know who he is.
Yeah.
I've done a couple of his open mics. I know exactly who he is.
Okay, awesome. Small
Yeah.
world.
I know. I
Yeah.
didn't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. My first fun fact, my first open mic in the Carolinas, because I started in Colorado, was his open mic all the way in Fort Mill.
Really?
Mhm.
I think I peeped a few of the videos you had like a
Yeah.
while back when you first came. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd come check you out. I need to check out Coaches too.
I haven't. I went to one like years and years ago, but I haven't
Yeah.
been to another one recently. I need to check some out.
Yeah.
He's got more of a New York style because when I started, it was you could still be, it was more shock jock than anything. Like you wanted to say stuff that was like very
Vulgar.
vulgar. And that's the reason why I don't work like I used to. Like I was very blue when I did comedy.
Got you.
You know, I was in the military and I was divorced my first
I
wife.
remember I was like, oh crap.
Yeah, I divorced
You
my
said that?
first wife. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
And you know what's so funny? Like when people who know you and meet you, and I'm sure people who are listening to you, they're probably like, huh? Like
Oh yeah.
you're so calm with your demeanor, but I guess I couldn't see you saying something shocking in a
Well,
comedic tone.
Bob Saget was a blue comic, yet people thought of him as America's dad when he was alive.
That's true. I
know?
didn't know that he was as vulgar as he could be.
Talked about. Can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
Okay. He made a joke about fucking goats for like 5 minutes. Yeah, he was vulgar as all get out. Like
Yeah.
he literally made a joke back. Like this was like one of his last comedy specials. He literally made a joke about people making fun of him, but he's like, at least I'm not like Bill Cosby. I'm a good parent.
No,
You know.
Gosh.
Like, yeah, he was vulgar.
Yep. Yeah.
Bob Saget, man.
Yeah.
That is okay. Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Guess the more you know.
Mm-hmm.
So before we get out of here, what advice or what words of wisdom would you want to give our listeners, or anything that you like to say, before we get out of here and end this episode?
If y'all want to do martial arts, just realize that it's going to take time learning stuff. Like there's times where, all the techniques that I show these guys in wrestling, it wasn't me just picking it up. Like I took a lot of time before I got good enough to where I could teach, Again, like I think my first year in high school, I scored maybe 1 or 2 takedowns. And then when I did my Swai Jiao tournament, I think I got scored 2 points out of the 15 I got the guy in, You know, it takes time, and it's okay for it to take time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's all I really got.
That's that kung fu concentrated skill over time.
You gotta be patient.
You gotta be patient. Yeah, put in the work. So Joe, what you got? You got anything else for Coach Ara before we get out of here?
I'm just gonna try to do you proud in this tournament.
Okay.
Because I'm feeling a lot better about this one than I did about a year ago.
Well, that's because I think I was only here twice the last.
Right.
Yeah.
It was literally he gave me my first lesson in Swideout, and I never forget it. It's the first thing I tell people.
That was the
It's about like ear to ear.
The ear to ear. Yeah. I was gonna say.
Yep.
You know, I have that does help. I think if you were teaching him, I think I may have picked that up from you too, because I think I started to use that. So I picked
like
that up from
the
you.
first one I did, I didn't get skunked either, which I felt really happy about, even just getting points.
Yeah.
But now I'm more comfortable with like, and my opponent told me something very valuable. And Swideout and even wrestling, right? Like maybe more specifically Swideout with the jacket on, but like I was totally on defense.
Yeah.
I was trying to pay attention how he was grabbing me and trying to counter this, where I should have just been trying my attack.
Because you're not used to wearing the jacket and
Right.
stuff like that. Like
Right.
that's one thing. Like even though I did sports sambo, I'm used to wearing a jacket. Even though the jacket's a little different because the sleeves are shorter, but you know it's the same thing.
Right.
You know?
Even when I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a little while, I did no gi.
Yeah, because you get used to it after a while once you wear the jacket.
No.
Well, definitely, this has been fun, Ara. I appreciate you. You have like one of the coolest names ever.
I know.
I know. Like I mean, like when you hear your name, it's like I don't want to mess with that guy. Ara Draeger. Nah, I don't want to mess with him. I don't want to mess with him. Like what? Who? Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds like somebody that's gonna F you up.
What is that? What's Draeger?
Draeger's German. Ara comes from my name comes from Ara Parstesian, who was a football coach in Notre Dame.
Okay.
But the story comes from a Sumerian legend of a king.
Okay.
Okay,
King.
All right, King. That's gonna be his new nickname.
King.
The King is here. Like Tekken. King.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'm
there
okay.
you go.
King from Tekken.
I'm okay with that now.
yeah. The Tekken. Yeah. There we go.
King.
We got to get him like the. Is it a leopard?
It's like a leopard mask. Yeah.
He was who was the grappler?
He was. Yeah,
he was the grappler.
Yeah, he was.
There
He was
you
a
go.
wrestler.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
He was the wrestler. So that fits.
That's cool.
Well, guys, thank you so much for being on this podcast. This was fun. Ara, we got to have you back, man.
Okay.
You got to talk some more.
Okay. Maybe next time I'll bring my wife so she can talk.
There you go. And guys, this is Martial Mentality signing out. Peace.